Please welcome our newest member of the Hall of Honor, Greg Delaine.
Greg Delaine was a four-year letter winner for the Mustang football team and was one of the most dominant defensive players in team history. Originally from Fort Myers, Florida, Delaine finished his playing career ranking second in program history in sacks and tackles for loss, while ranking fifth in tackles. In 1990, he helped the Mustangs earn the program's first and only conference championship, and also just the second NAI playoff appearance in school history. He recorded a team-high 13 tackles for loss, while also registering 8.5 sacks and recovering 6 fumbles. The SMSU defense limited opponents to 19 or less points in 7 of 10 regular season games. For his efforts, Delaine was named first-team NAI All-American. In 1991, he anchored a defense for one of the best teams in program history. The Mustangs allowed 14 or less points in 6 games, finishing the season with a school record 9 victories and just missing an NAI playoff appearance. Despite playing most of the season with an arm injury, including missing 1 game, Delaine racked up 54 tackles and 4.5 sacks to earn NAI Honorable Mention All-American honors. Following his career, the 3-time All-Conference honoree signed with the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. Greg, congratulations.
Thank you.
Big Daddy, I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. No, welcome to the lounge?
Yeah, welcome to the lounge,
okay.
Yes. We'll have our coffee and beverages later here, yes.
We're looking
welcome.
for the beer there.
Yes.
You say lounge, but,
Hey, the amazing story. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't read it in the paper. And actually, the writer who wrote the story back in 1988, Danny Yost, is here. He's covering sports. Mm-hmm. How you ended up at Southwest is a pretty wild story, to say the least. Like I said, if I didn't read about it, I probably wouldn't believe it. Can you talk about how Greg Delaine arrived at Southwest? A pretty unique story.
Well, first of all, Kelly, I must say I am happy to be here talking to you.
Yes.
It's been a long, but it was a wild, wild story. It started back in my younger days over at Northeastern Oklahoma, and I actually took a tour over at Morningside College, and I actually went there and made arrangements to actually attend the college, but at the same time, I had some second thoughts because I had my mother from my other brother, Carl Douglas, here at Southwest State, was telling me how good the school is. So I made a couple of meetings with individuals, but at the same time, he sold me on it. And Mr. Keening, Jerry Keening, we taught, and that was Burl, his father. And he passed away from us a couple of years ago. And he made a great gesture of coming out his way to pick me up from that school. Mind you, at 3:30 in the morning. And that was somewhat of a special occasion because guess what? The next day when Morningside woke up, I was gone. And it was mysteriously how I left the campus, but I ended up here at Southwest State, to make a long story short, and the rest is history.
Yeah, no question. Greg, when you came here, the Mustangs in 1987 made the NAIA playoffs and were starting to become a powerhouse. Did you sense when you came in here that this program was building something special?
Most definitely. Well, in the football sense, the foundation was there. They had some great players, some great players there, and all I had to do was just find my way in, to fit my way in. Now, mind you, they were looking for some defensive linemen, and in the Midwest, it's hard to do. So I just, the timing was perfect, and I fitted in immediately. And I thank Coach DeVore for taking the time out to coach me up, because I knew I had some slow footwork, and he always had me jump roping. To this day, my ankles are hurting from jump roping so much.
Greg, in 1990, SMSU won the program's only conference championship, also made the playoffs. What made that team so special? Obviously, the offense, Jeff Lutz, Wayne Hawkins, Elvin Ashley, they were great. But that defense sometimes gets overlooked, was just as strong. Talk about the mentality of that defense with yourself and CD and Derek Jordan, those guys, and Carl Lance.
Well, in football sense, in my humble opinion, that football team was one of the most, I would say, worthy football team in the nation. We could have went against anybody or anyone, and we came out either winning or tying. That defense was amazing, and as you can see, for the Hall of Fame inductions, I think you got about 4 of them back there at the table back there from that team. But in my humble opinion, it was one of the best teams I have ever seen or played on.
You were first-team All-American on that team. Just a little humble brag here for you. What made you such a dominant force? Did you have a certain move to get past offensive linemen, or what was your go-to play when you need to get a sack?
Oh, yeah. I know the Coach DeBoer, he can tell you that dive strong, that's the #1 play. Dive strong, dive strong, dive strong. But at the same time, though, during practice time, I mean, the games was easy. It was the practice. I mean, I was going against All-Americans. I was going against Hall of Famers. I mean, it was simply a hard task in practice. Anyone could tell you, have you ever seen our practice? It was tough. Mind you that we practiced. We didn't practice in this field that you guys have now, just looking around. The field that we practiced on had a lot of little rocks and stones, and we were scraped up, but it made us tough, and it made us rough, and it made us champions.
That next season, 1991, many fans here remember that team. You know, still look through the record books, might have been the best ever. And you lost one game. It was a heartbreaker. It was a blizzard in Moorhead, and failed to make the playoffs. I think only 8 teams made the playoffs at that time, and we were probably number 9th in the nation. But you dealt with an injury that season. Of the pictures I've seen of Greg, you basically played with a broken arm. You know, how tough was it that season to deal with that injury, but you still were able to fight through it?
Well, I think we developed a brotherhood. The team was a very diverse team. We had a lot of minorities. We had a lot of people come from different states, different backgrounds, and we was actually preaching brotherhood. I mean, to this day, that team is still bound by brotherhood. I think I can reach out to any person on that team, and they would respond. So that team was a very, very special team. In my humble opinion, like I said before, it was one of the most best teams I ever seen or ever played on.
And how about the coaches that made impacts on you? You talked about Coach DeBoer, but a lot of special guys on that coaching staff.
Yeah, the coaching staff was they were very lenient on us when we first got here, but we had to understand each other because it was a very diverse team. Coach Gary Burrow, Ed Marcourt, and Coach John DeBoer. We bonded. We had to check each other sometimes because, you know, it was just one of those things that we had to learn each other. And we cried together, and we cheered together. But at the end of the day, they made us champions, and I always will love them for that. And to this day, in my humble opinion, I'm getting emotional now, my goodness. He's one of the special ones, Coach DeBoer, and I appreciate him coming out and giving me this honor.
And last thing, Greg, what keeps you busy today in your life day to day?
I'm a single parent. I have my son. Raise your hand, Gregory Delaine, my other son. He keeps me very busy, and I own my own logistics company down in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's very, very hard to do, being a single parent. But I like to just give thanks to my mom, my dad, my sister and brother, all the loved ones, and all the people who came with me from Colorado, from Florida, and all over the place to share this very, very special moment with me. It's one of the moments I will never, never forget.
All right. Greg, congratulations. Well-deserved honor.
Thank you, Kelly.
You bet. Greg Delaine, our latest member into the Hall of Honor.